Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. So today is day 7 of our full DevOps course, and in this class we'll be talking about a real-time shell script project that usually most of the DevOps engineers use when they are on the cloud infrastructure. So firstly, let me explain what this project is and why is it useful, and then we can take a look at how to create this project. Okay, so for the very first thing to say, basically, why would somebody move to cloud infrastructure? Okay, let's say whether it's AWS, whether it's Azure. So what is one of the primary reasons for any organization to move to cloud? So there are two things, right? So the first thing is the manageability. So let's say you are a startup and you want to maintain your own servers. Okay, so the main problem here is that there is a lot of maintenance overhead. That is, you have to create your own data center, you have to manage your own servers, you have to keep patching them whenever there is a security issue. You have to constantly upgrade those servers. So the problem here is that you should have a systems engineer team or a dedicated team who completely takes care of these servers and the systems. So this is problem number one. And the second problem is cost, right? So all of these providers work on a very simple basis, that is pay as you go, right? Pay as you use. So the concept here is that when you move to cloud, if you're not using certain instances, so you'll not be billed for that. Whereas if you're buying your physical infrastructure for your company, whether you use it or you don't use it, you already have it in your data center, so you have to pay for it. So these are the primary reasons why someone would move to cloud. One is the uh, reducing the managing overhead or reducing the maintenance overhead, and the second thing is to be cost effective. So to be cost effective, what a organization has to do. So let's say you are working for example.com, and example.com has 100 developers, and you give access to all of these 100 developers to your AWS platform, and everybody starts creating their own resources. But to be cost effective, you have to have your own ways to see if everybody is using the AWS resources up to the point or not. Let's say there is a developer X. So this developer has created 100 EC2 instances, but nobody is using it. Or they have created EBS. Okay. So this happens most of the time. So EBS volumes are created, but no EC2 instance is using this EBS volume. So the volumes are left unused. So because you are not using it, AWS will not understand, right? So AWS will say that, okay, you have created an EBS and I have dedicated you a volume. So I'll be costing you. So now as a DevOps engineer, one of your primary responsibility, uh, as a DevOps engineer or a AWS admin, whoever is the person, one of your primary responsibilities is to maintain the cost effectiveness, because it is one of the primary reasons why your organization moved to cloud. So that's why you have to always track the resource usage. Okay. So what is this called? Tracking the resource usage. So there are multiple ways to do this. Okay. So I'm not saying this shell script that I'm showing you is the optimal way of doing it. So people use Lambda functions and write some Python script to do the same things. Or people can use, see, everybody is not convenient with Python. As a DevOps engineer, end of the day, if you can achieve your goal, that is more than enough. So it doesn't mean that you have to write in Python only, or you have to write using AWS SDK or CDK. No, you can write in your own ways. So shell scripting is one of the ways to write it. So in today's topic, what we will do is we will say that there is an organization called example.com. Okay. I'll show you on my AWS account. And let's say this organization is only using resources like EC2, because I cannot show you for all the resources. It will take a lot of time. So we will monitor the resource usage for these resources. So one is EC2. Let's say they are also using S3, and let's say they are using Lambda functions, right? And let's take one more thing like IAM, because these are few common things that are used across different organizations. So let's take the same example. Okay. Now, what is your goal is every day, okay, every day at let's say 6 p.m. or every day at a certain time, you have to give this report to your manager. So this is again just for your understanding. Usually you don't do this. What people usually do is that using these scripts, like using shell script or Python, what they would usually do is they would supply this information to a reporting dashboard. Okay. So whom would they give this information? To a reporting dashboard. But for our shell scripting knowledge purpose today, let's say that we are doing it just for the purpose of your manager. Okay, so ideally you send this information to a reporting dashboard, but in our case, let's say that today you are giving this information to your manager. So how you are giving this information? Let's say that you are writing a shell script. Okay, and using this shell script, what you do is you create a file, and this file will have all of this resource usage. Okay, so how many EC2 instances are active, how many S3 buckets are there, how many Lambda functions are there, how many IAM users are there. You'll try to put all of this information in a file. Okay, and there is one important thing here to notice, that I said every day you have to generate this report. So one way of doing it is every day you can run your shell script. But what is the problem here is, let's say you are not available at that point of time, or for some reason you are not able to log into that instance and you cannot share that report at 6 p.m. So the problem is you miss the timeline. So instead, what a common practice in every organization is, this shell script can be integrated with a cron job. So what is this? This is a cron job. So what is a cron job? Cron job is, if you take a very simple example, today we are doing DevOps zero to hero course, right? So every day I'm scheduling my video at 7 p.m. So how I am, most of the times what I do is I just upload the video before, but I say YouTube that publish this video at 7 p.m. So what is YouTube doing on behalf of me? It is publishing the video at 7 p.m. So I don't have to log in exactly at 7 p.m. and click on the publish button. So the same way, if you create a cron job, what happens is one of your Linux process will wait for the 7 p.m. and once the time is set to 7 p.m., so it automatically executes the shell script for you. This is the concept of cron job. That's it. Very simple. If somebody asks you, how can you make sure that a certain script is running every day at X or Y timestamp, you can simply say, I can make use of the cron job in Linux, and using cron job, I can execute this script every day at a given point of time. Okay, so this is a very common practice. So what are we doing here? End of the day, so we are going to write a shell script, and we are going to integrate this shell script with a cron job. But how do we get all of this information? So in the previous classes, we learned about AWS CLI, right? So like I said, there are multiple ways to do it. You can do it through Boto3, you can do it using Python, any other ways. But because we are familiar with shell script a bit, and we are familiar with AWS CLI a bit, so let me combine both of these things. Okay. So let me combine your knowledge on shell scripting, your knowledge on AWS CLI, and get the output that we require. Okay. So this is what we are going to learn today. And this project you can also put in your resume, because this is a very generic thing that every organization does. Okay, perfect. So what I'll do is I'll stop this screen sharing and I'll show you my terminal, and we can start writing the code. Perfect. So let me stop sharing my screen here. Great. And now let me pull up my terminal. Yeah. So I'm just doing it. Just give me a minute. Great. Done. So right now you should be able to screen my screen. Yes. Okay. So as I told you, what is one of the prerequisites here? So one of the prerequisites is to have your AWS CLI installed. So do I have the AWS CLI? Let me just see it here. Yeah, I have my AWS CLI, but what I'm going to do is, because I'm on my Mac, you might see that there will be a slight difference in the scripting. So I'll also connect to a EC2 instance, and I'll show you from there so that everybody understands the same scripting using Linux. Okay, so this is my Linux box, and I'll write the script here. If you see, I'm going to use Bash. So prefer Bash because Bash is one of the widely used scriptings, and previously most of the Linux boxes used to come with bash as default, but now there is also dash dash that also comes as default. So uh, always try to learn a platform that is widely used, so go for bash. Perfect. So, do I have AWS installed? The AWS CLI? Yes, I have it installed. And I've also configured my credentials to communicate with AWS. So, how do I do that? You can using AWS configure. So, if you haven't done that, run the AWS configure command. It will ask you the access key. And then once you provide the access key, it will ask you for the access secret access key, and then it will ask you for the default region, and finally your output format that can be JSON. Once you do this, your entire AWS configuration authentication is done. So if you don't know how to get this access key, secret key, watch our previous video. You can get that using your AWS console. Perfect. So I have my Bash platform. I have AWS. I have my AWS configured to authenticate to my AWS account. So now I can start proceeding with it. So let me start writing it as a script, but I'll explain you in a step-by-step way. So I'll not go in a hurry. So whenever you find some issues, just stop the video there and try to watch it one more time, because I'll keep it as simple as possible. So let us call this script as AWS resource tracker.sh. Okay, so I opened Vim and now I clicked on escape. I came to the insert mode. Now I can start writing. So shebang followed by slash bin slash bash. Again, always go with the ones that you are using. Sometimes people tend to use this one here. Uh, just the sh, but like I told you in the previous video as well, sh is just a symbolic link, and this symbolic link can sometimes be bash and sometimes can be dash. So let's say if it is bash, then it is well and good, but if it is dash, then sometimes your script might fail because there is a slight syntax difference between bash and dash. Okay, so shebang slash bin slash bash. Now what I want to do, always start writing about the script, because nobody is going to understand what the script is, right? So that's why first start with the line saying that this, okay, first provide the information like who is the author of it. Okay, so in my case, I am the author. I'll say Abhishek, and then provide the other details like when did you start writing this script? So you can mention it as 11th of Jan. Okay, why do you provide all this information? Because in the future, whenever somebody has issues with this script or somebody wants to understand who is the author of this script, then they can easily approach you and they can ask you like, okay, I'm not able to understand this thing here. Or again, you can have the version controlling or the version tracking using this. So this is a very initial version. So let me call V1, or you can also call it a draft version. And finally, provide information about the script. So this script will report the AWS resource usage. Perfect. So this is about the script. Now I can start writing my script. Okay. And for the purpose of simplicity, I'm not going to use shell functions, because I can share the script in a GitHub repository using functions, but let's try to keep it without functions and as simple as possible, because we are just at day 7 and many people might not be familiar with shell functions or doing it as modular as possible. So I'll try to keep it very simple, like I mentioned in the starting of the video. So firstly, what are we going to track? So for the purpose of that, let's again put in some comments to say that what are the objects that we are going to track, or what are the resources that we are going to track. One is AWS S3, again AWS EC2, then AWS Lambda, and finally AWS IAM users. So this is something that the script is going to report back. Firstly, if we start with S3, and let's say you don't know the EC2, sorry, AWS CLI commands. So what did I tell you in the previous class? Don't worry, if you don't know the AWS CLI commands, what you can simply do is you can go for the AWS CLI reference. Okay, so there is a wonderful documentation here, and AWS keeps it very simple and neat. Let's say you want to learn about a specific command. So in my case, I'm going to start with S3. So what I'll do is I'll come here, I'll go for the S3 option. And what I want to do is I want to just list the buckets, right? So search for an option called list. Here, okay. So there is a command called ls. I found out that there is a ls command. So what you can do is let me increase the font so that everybody finds it clear. Okay, so it says that you can use the AWS S3 LS and it will list you all the S3 buckets. So let me put that here. So firstly, I'll say AWS S3 LS. And before every command, definitely put the comments. Why you have to put the comments? Because somebody who is reading the script and don't have the scripting knowledge should understand, or even somebody has the scripting knowledge, even by looking at the comments, they can understand what is the code. List S3 buckets. Don't worry, I'll also explain you about improvising the script by using some set arguments. How can you run the script in a debug mode? How can you avoid some pipe issues and certain kind of things? Again, we'll improvise the script in a step-by-step manner. So I got this here. Then what is the next thing? List EC2 instances. Again, let's say that you are new to AWS CLI and you don't know how to use this command. So what you will do, go back to the references here and just a page back, because you want to find EC2, not S3. So what I'll do is I'll search for EC2. So this is EC2. And in EC2, AWS CLI will show you the bunch of commands that are available here. And I know personally that using describe instances, you can get this information. So what I'll do is I'll directly jump to describe instance. So this is the command that can give you the information of list of AWS resources, EC2 resources. So what I'll do here, I'll use this command AWS EC2 describe instances. If you don't know this command, what you will do, you will go for the AWS CLI, you will read the doc and you will understand. And after that, what I'm going to do here, I want to list the AWS Lambda functions. So to list the AWS Lambda functions, what I'll do is list AWS Lambda is something I'll put in the comment section. And here I'll say AWS Lambda list functions. So this is a command. I know the command. If you don't know the command, you can refer the CLI reference. Then finally, list IAM users. AWS IAM users. I think this is a command, but even I am not sure. So what I'll do, I'll go back and I'll try to look for the reference. IAM, yes. And in the IAM, how should I list the users? So let me search for list. Okay, so list groups is available and then list users. Okay, so the command is not just users but list hyphen users. Perfect. So now let me initially run this script and see how we are getting the output. I know this is not the end script, I'll improvise it, but just to stop here and show you the output. Chmod, let's give the permissions. For now, let's keep it 777. Usually it's not a good practice to keep it 777, but just we can keep it randomly because we are not publishing the script anywhere for now. And now I'll say // to execute the script followed by AWS resource tracker.sh. And let's see what is the output. So it gave me the output here. If you see, okay, let me take this into the file mode so that you will understand it better. And I'll redirect the output into a file mode that is using pipe more. So using pipe more, you can easily read it in a better way. So the first one here, is the information about the EC2 instances. Before that, we had the S3 buckets information. So this is giving the list of all the EC2 instances that are available in my account. And then if you go down, it also gives you the list of IAM users. But wait here, you're not able to understand which output is which one, right? Because the problem here is you haven't used any print statements. So for that, what we will do is we will modify the script and we will add certain print statements. Okay. So using the print statements, you can understand a user can get a debug information. So echo print list of S3 buckets. Okay. And similarly, what you can do is, let me copy this from here, paste it here, and I'll say print list of EC2. Print list of Lambda function. So what are we doing here? We are improving the user experience. And I'll also show you one more effective way of doing it. Print list of IAM users. And then there is a very important function. Let's say you are looking at some shell scripts that are written by your peers or your seniors in the organization. They often use something like this: set plus X or set minus E, right? So why are these things used? Because this will put your script into a debug mode. So what happens is, whenever you are running any script, it will show you that, okay, this particular command is getting executed and this is the output. So let me also show you what happens if I enable set plus X. So let me run this here. So it said, oh, sorry, my bad. So it's not the one that I said. It should be, okay, set minus X. Very sorry for that. Yeah. So let me run this one off and see what happens. See, so it told you that it is running AWS IAM list user. So this is the command that you have used, and it said that you are using AWS. So it is printing you the commands that you use, right? So it said AWS Lambda list functions. So what is it doing? Echo print the list of IAM users. So there is no IAM users in my account. So that's why there is no oh, sorry. So this is the list of IAM users. So I got the output here. Whereas there are no Lambda functions, so I did not get any output. So this way you can get all the information. So firstly, echo print list of S3 buckets. This is the command that we have used, AWS S3 LS, and this is the output. Print list of S3 buckets, and there is only one S3 bucket, that is Penguin flew away. So I just created that one. And then there is describe instances. What is it doing? It is printing list of EC2 instances, and this is the output. And finally, you have the list of IAM users. So this way you can create a report. But again, there is a problem here, right? So this report is generating the outputs, but it is not quite clear to me. So what I thought is, I'll only give the AWS instance IDs, because this is a bunch of information, right? So if I take all this information, it will not be clear for my manager what is the instance ID, because the AWS describe instance command is giving me a lot of information, but I just need AWS instance ID. So for that, there is a very special command in Linux that is called JQ. Because this is a JSON that your AWS is returning. What we can do is we can read through the JQ. We can read through the JSON using JQ, and we can just get the instance ID. So I'll show you how to do that. Now the output will become much simpler. So for example, this is the command that we were using, right? AWS EC2 describe hyphen instances. And if you look at the output is really big. But I just want the information that I need, that is the instance ID. So for that, what I'll give is, I'll use the pipe to send the output of this command to JQ. Okay, what is JQ does? JQ will just get it's like a JSON parser to get the information from JSON. Similarly, like JQ, you also have YQ. YQ is used for YAML parser. JQ is used for JSON parser. So always, as a DevOps engineers, we deal with JSONs and YAMLs. So get familiar with JQ and YQ. So I'll show you how to use JQ as well. and then in single quotes you have to just provide information of what are the things that you are trying to like for example, I'm trying to get the instance ID. But if I look at the level of instance ID, it is inside instances and it is inside the reservations. So for that, what I have to do is dot reservations. So now it will only give the reservations information that is from here. But again, I want only instances. Okay. So for that, what I'll do is dot instances. So why I'm using this brackets is because this is a list, right? Instance is not a single instance. If it was a single instance, you can just use this. But it is a list, so I'm using this brackets dot instance ID. Now it will give me any number of instance IDs that are available. Okay. So if you see here, this is just the instance ID that I have. Now I can replace this command in my script and I can simplify my script because my script earlier was very big, and I mean script was very simple, but the output was very big. But anybody who is looking at that, they might not be interested. So I can simplify this using the command that I just created. Now let me run the script and see what happens. Okay. So if we rerun the script, what will happen is it will give me a better user experience command. Perfect. So if you see here now, this is just the output. The output started from here. It said echo print list of S3 buckets. It gave me the command that I used, and this is the output here. And then print list of EC2 buckets. This is the command that I've used, the JQ command, and this is the output. Perfect. And then this is the list of Lambda functions. This is the command I used, and this is the output. List of IAM users. This is the command that I've used, and this is the output. Perfect. Now, what you will do here is just integrate the script to a cron tab and your output is done. Because, okay, let me also show you a thing that how to put this information into a file. So for doing that, it's very simple. What you can do is every output, you can redirect it to a file. How do you redirect into a file? Just improvise the script and say, like, just output to a file called resource tracker. Every output you can just redirect to that file using this command here, so that every information goes to resource tracker and somebody can just open the resource tracker and they can see. Now, what I'll do is I'll definitely stop here so that I can give you an assignment and write the same script and integrate it with cron tab. If you have any questions, I can explain you in the next video, but it is very simple, right? I already explained you the script, just integrate it with cron tab. And in the future video, we'll see a advanced shell script project. This is a very simple one. So I hope you like this video. If you have any questions, please post in the comment section, and don't forget to like this video and share with your friends. Thank you so much.